Okay, welcome everybody. All right, Eric, thank you so much for joining me.
No, thank you, Ryan. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. I've been wanting to get. I was telling my earlier class, I've been trying to get you to teach forever, and so now my strategy is to try to teach you how to create your own academy. You know, because this knowledge that you have like has to get out. I think.
Yeah,
You
thank
know,
you.
it's
You know,
just
it's
so
really
much.
weird that you mentioned that because I don't know if you remember, I sent you a message because I saw your email about the creating a
Mhm.
webinar,
Yeah.
and I've gotten to a point in my career now where I don't know if I mean, you're probably aware of it, but I'm not freelancing for anybody anymore.
Hmm.
I decided to retire from that last June.
Yep.
And I've been wrapping up projects and everything. I'm still finishing some stuff, but I'm mainly like free to just focus on my own product. Like this character that you see on screen, that's part of my next release. And but I feel that it would be a lot more fulfilling to actually share, you know, whatever little knowledge I've acquired
Yeah.
throughout, like, I don't know, 20 something years doing this. And honestly, I'm thinking I want to do that. You know, I think it's a good thing. I'm not saying like full time or anything, but
Yeah.
on a more regular basis, which I haven't really ever done that. So
Yeah. So
that would be
why don't we start with a bit of an introduction? Like, what do you do today? Like, what's the primary thing you do that pays the bills and
okay.
is your career?
Well, first of all, I started doing this like sculpting when I was like, I don't know, like 4 or whatever. But
Yeah.
before I get into what I do nowadays, and when I was in high school, my high school teacher got me into Mattel toys, and that changed everything for me.
Oh wow, when you're in high school.
Yeah, I was in high school. I was like 16 at the time. I think it was
Oh,
my junior year or senior year, something like that. I can't remember.
that's
I'm old
awesome.
now. And it was fun. It was amazing. Just going into this government type facility where they had like to scan like your badges and everything. You have to go through like 2 or 3 security doors and everything. It was amazing. And then like it was like being at Willy Wonka's, like the doors would open and you see like people playing with toys and like people designing and a bunch of cubicles, a bunch of toys. Yeah, it was amazing. I love that place. And to this day, I still help them out with projects and stuff. Um, but mainly, I've stopped doing freelancing for most of my clients since last year, and I've been focusing on my company, Prototype Studios. The whole idea behind Prototype Studios is just to create product that truly kind of comes close to what people see in terms of like our ads or like the images that we show the product. So
Hmm.
like so that we're trying to basically create product that comes really close to the prototype, and that's very tough. But it's possible to create something that looks exactly well, not exactly, but really close to what you see on screen when people are like shopping for a product.
Hmm.
You won't be let down. That's what I'm trying to say. So
Yeah.
so that takes a lot of effort and work and everything and QC and a lot of stuff in China, but it's paying off. And right now we just released our second character and in our Street Fighter line, Akuma, and yeah, the reviews are great. So that's what I do now. I've been doing freelance for like I think 15 years, 16 years. I've been in the industry since '93, so it's been almost 24 years or so. And yeah, and now like I'm just looking forward to being able to do not just like earn a living by creating our product, but giving back to the community. I just signed up for the Los Angeles Public Library System contacted me, and
Yeah.
they want me to like travel all over the city and throughout the state and maybe even the country, teaching like half an hour like classes, like really compact, really aimed at children and the youth.
Yeah.
About like my career, what I did all these years, and what it is that they can do in the future, what it is that they can expect, and just answering questions, showing like little demos and stuff.
Hmm.
But yeah, man, that's what I'm looking forward to doing more in the future.
So, what would you say your job is? Your job title? Digital
Mm.
sculptor, toy sculptor? How's that work?
I don't know, man, because I've been a traditional sculptor since like '93, and well, actually, professionally.
Yeah.
But I've been sculpting with clay my whole life, and my approach to 3D is like it's extremely basic and very I don't know, just coarse. You know, I just use like the clay buildup brush, the clay brush, trim dynamics, standard, and I don't know, pinch,
So
Damien standard,
yeah,
and that's it. That's all I use. So I'm not really technical when it comes to the software.
that's all you need. That's all you need. So when you're talking to these kids, do you say like you're a sculptor? Like if somebody's
Yeah,
looking at the job that they would do,
yeah. I basically tell people like, you know, I'm a toy designer. I'm a
toy
sculptor,
designer.
and
Yeah.
yeah, toy designer. Because when you say sculptor, a lot of people go like, oh, what is that? You know, and
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah, well, you guys remember Michelangelo? And they're like, oh yeah, yeah, no,
But
you know,
he's
so
dead.
yeah, he's dead. So, so I had to just say like toy designer, and then people understand that. But I've been an art director for different companies, amongst them Kotobukiya. I just stopped working with them 2 weeks ago. I just made the announcement, and they wanted me to keep doing some more stuff, but I just decided that it's probably for the best for me to move on and into this new path, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm. Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
remember they were part of the announcement that you're retiring from freelance. You're going to work with them full time, if I remember right.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
And,
yeah.
and so now, is it fair to say that you're starting your own company, focusing on IP, basically developing IP?
Actually, yeah, that's actually correct. I'm actually working on a line right now that is like completely original, and
Mhm.
I'm exploring the possibility of getting into toys as well. Just original stuff, because the issue in our industry right now is like it's completely overpopulated with similar product,
Yeah.
and getting licenses has become like really tough, because when you're about to like get a license, there's already like a queue or a line of like 10 companies that want to get the same license. So even if you're able to get it, there's going to be like a lot of competition for basically the same type of license, the same type of characters and product, and you know, so that's become really tough for the collectibles industry. But
So
I do believe there's a market there, but
yeah,
for like people who see like original IP. So
that's
you know,
awesome. So what do you tell people when they say they want to be a toy designer? You know,
well, I
how do
tell
you?
them that it's a cool thing, because like, you know, the toy industry and the collectibles industry are like basically they're part of the same family in a sense, but the collectibles industry is like a really tiny brother to the toy industry. The toy industry is a lot bigger. But if people want to become, like, for example, when they ask me like, oh, I want to become a toy designer, yeah, that's feasible. That's great. Pay is great. Obviously, depending on whom you're working for.
Right.
But the collectibles industry is a lot tinier. There is work out there, but not the same as before, because
Got it.
there's just like too many companies doing a lot of stuff. So that kind of tends to bite back in a sense where whereas you used to, like, you know, work with 1 or 2 clients a year in order to survive, now you have to probably like, well, people nowadays have to like probably have like, you know, try to get like 10 clients so that they can get less work from each, but enough in volume to
Mhm.
survive, which is, you know, a little bit tougher now. So
Got it. And is Sideshow an example of a company working in collectibles?
yeah, yeah. Sideshow is like the king of collectibles. The stuff that they do, Sideshow's a company that really seems to understand and grasp what it is that people like, and in that sense, they've come to a point where they're on top. They're
Yeah.
they're the king of the hill from my perspective, and you know, the product, they always keep pushing themselves, and the product that they're putting out is like just amazing. The designs and everything, it's just great. It seems to me like they kind of mixed the system that you use in a large like special effects studio or a movie, like, you know, film studio or whatever,
Hmm.
and they made that into the whole collectibles you know, arena, and they came up with a really awesome system where, you know, where you see like how they go about like creating the concept and everything, and brainstorming and everything. It's just amazing. It's pretty similar to like what happens in you know, film studios, so it's a pretty cool thing.
Mm. So how does somebody get started? What do they need to learn to get into this?
Well, one thing that you need to learn more than anything is like I think it's you need to know exactly what makes you happy. For some people, it could be like just trying to do like more abstract designer toys.
Hmm.
For other people, it might be something like working for a company such as like I don't know Sideshow or McFarlane, where they require things to be like a little bit more realistic. So in that sense, you need to learn more human anatomy, take life drawing classes. I don't know if you agree with this, but I have this point of view that, or I believe that if someone wants to get really good at sculpting, they need to be really good at drawing. Then again, there's sculptors that are great at what they do, but they can't really draw that well. But I think it does work the other way around, whereas someone can be a great sculptor but not really draw really well.
Hmm.
It's really funny that if you're really good at drawing in 2D, you can get really good at sculpting. So I've seen people like Ray Billifane, who this sculptor that used to be in the industry, in the collectibles industry, and
Yeah.
he was a kindergarten teacher, and he would draw like amazing, like really cool drawings. And one day he picked up clay, and he was a pro, like overnight, seriously, no joke. And I do believe there's a connection there. So
Yeah,
I was
I have this
drawing.
belief that sculpture is the first art. And
Awesome.
because it's like it's 3D, so it's in the you're basically replicating something that is in the same form, right? And then painting and
Yes.
drawing are artificial. They're artifice. It's
Yeah, because you
all
have to
construction.
kind of interpret.
Hmm.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. With sculpting, it's more tangible, and you can keep. I mean, you can do that in 2D as well, where you can actually keep like refining, but it's more tactile and it's more. I don't know, it's just more natural, I guess, in that
Yeah.
sense. You
Yeah.
know?
So if we're talking about sculpting and anatomy, this is actually a conversation you and I had a while ago because you dived deep into anatomy some time ago with Ray Bustos, if I remember right.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And so one of the problems I have myself and with my students is that anatomy is, you say, hey, go learn some anatomy. And it's like, welcome to the next 5 years of your life.
Yeah,
Where it's like 1 year disappeared and I sculpt better and I know anatomy, but, like, where's the cutoff point? Because the other thing that's important here, just to kind of keep going, and I notice this specifically specifically in toy sculpting, is they're not really focused on realism, like Michelangelo would. There's an impact that somebody's trying to make. So the deltoid, is not going to be necessarily like, say, a Richard McDonald deltoid. It's going to have some volume and pump because they're going for a style. So
yeah.
how do you manage the style of things with the realistic anatomy of stuff, and where's the cutoff so that somebody doesn't just spend a year of their life, you know, going down that black hole?
Well, I think it is very important to learn the basics of structure and anatomy.
Hmm.
I don't necessarily believe that you need to be an anatomist and know every single tendon in the human body and
Right.
I don't know, like artery and everything and nerves and everything. But it does help to know. I mean, if you look at Steve Lord, what he can do, the man is amazing. He can do anything.
Yeah, he's a
Uh,
gift to sculpting for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, exactly. But I do believe, like, for example, my anatomy, if you study my anatomy, I mean, anyone that really knows about anatomy will know that a lot of my stuff is completely exaggerated.
Hmm.
Now, granted, that's given me, in a sense, that's kind of set me apart from a lot of people. And yeah, you can say like, well, yeah, but your anatomy's like wonky, Eric. It is true. I do believe that's the way it is, and that's my purpose, to create something that's more of my artistic interpretation of, say, a bicep or abs or whatever, pectoral muscles. It's just I mix what I see in anime, I mix what I see in comic books, American comic books, and just like art all around me. And there's these guys like the Shiflett brothers, and they tend to make these characters that look so real, but at the same time, like it's just fantasy anatomy, and it just works. It's mind blowing.
Yeah.
And a good example of that in terms of 2D is Simon Bisley. If you look at the art of Simon Bisley, you can tell that the man knows his anatomy, but he adds muscles that are not there, that don't exist. But it just makes the art all the better. And that's the approach I have to it. And a lot of people go like, Eric, there's this muscle right here doesn't exist. I'm like, yeah, no, I just thought it looked cool, and that's it. That's my approach, to be honest. And I think you can be a great sculptor and know anatomy really well. But I've seen some sculptors that can do really, really cool things, but it all seems to look like just the same as their last piece, and it's just like the flow of the anatomy of the movement and everything. It's like it's a little static, you know, and I think like you can play with it. You can just like bend things. Like I'm really well known for example, doing things like I don't know if it's here or not, but I don't know with this magneto we can see it, but I'll probably like grab like the legs at this point and then just use the move brush and just like basically curve them a little bit, just ever so slightly. And by doing that, it just creates this flow to the whole piece. The silhouette looks a lot cooler and more dynamic, and people seem to be attracted to that, and that's worked for me. I'm not saying that that's the best way to do it. I'm not saying that it is correct. I'm just saying that I like it personally, and it seems that there's people out there that like it. So
All right, but now I have to bring this up, right? Because where is well, let me say it this way, and I'm not trying to be derogatory because I'm a fan of his work. I have a couple of his covers up on my wall. But at what point does this become Rob Liefeld? Where
oh yeah, well, I think it's you have to kind of have control at a certain point. When we're talking like comics or whatever, you can only go so far. You cannot go too insane. I cannot just like grab this guy and say, okay, I'm gonna make the pecs like pop out a lot more, and
yeah,
boom like that. That obviously people are not gonna like that. It's just completely deformed and it looks like wonky. But I mean, within the parameters of realism, I believe that there's leeway for you to play. One thing that a lot of artists do is that, because I'm pretty sure you get those messages constantly as well, emails or private messages. They tell me like, oh, my family, my mom says that I'm a great artist, or my uncle says that I'm a great artist, that I'm gonna make it big. And then I see the work, and you can tell that the person needs a little bit more practice. But then I've seen a lot of these people that keep listening to like friends or relatives or whatever. You have to understand that these people love you and they don't want to hurt you, and for the most part they're probably not artists, and they'll say like, oh, that looks cool to me, and that's good and all, but if you don't become your worst critic, you will never grow. I think that's the worst issue that us artists have. Like if we think like we've reached the pinnacle, that's when you stop growing. That's when you stop like learning. And a lot of people like will message me or post like whenever I post something on Facebook or something, they'll go like, oh, thank you, master. And that really, I mean, it doesn't upset me, but it just makes me feel uncomfortable, because I know in my mind, deep inside me, that I'm still learning. I mean, if you look at my work, say like just a year ago or 6 months ago or 2 years ago, you can tell that I've learned more and more, and I keep refining my craft, and I just don't feel I'm at that level. And I think I'm gonna be 80 and I'm still not gonna be happy with what I'm doing. I mean, you can say like I'm enjoying this, but I'm not gonna say like, oh wow, this is the best. I am the best. I don't think it works in that sense. And if you think that way, you will just like stop progressing. And I think art is about discovering, learning, and that's what makes it fun. It's a journey. It's a journey that, to me, I don't think it'll ever end. I just don't think so. I don't think I'm gonna be like 100 and say, okay, that's it, I'm done. I learned everything I needed to learn about sculpting. I just don't think so. So, I think my best advice would be to check yourself and keep searching for, yeah, I don't know, like for that point where you feel that you've grown, but never get to a point where you think, okay, that's it, I know everything, because that's
Yeah.
bad for your career, for you. It's just not cool.
Yeah, you know, and I think this is one of the things that's really attracted me to this conversation with you is, you know, like in the process of me trying to get you to teach, I always ran up against this wall where you were like, I don't feel like I'm a master. I don't feel like I'm ready, and I don't feel like I'm there to teach. And I'm thinking, like, in the back of my mind, I don't know if I ever said it directly, but I'm thinking like, that's why you have to teach, right? And
Yeah.
it's because people have to see that. So I'm glad we have this conversation so people can understand this. But I want to dive a little deeper into this because for me, in my experience, this conversation's been one of the primary conversations I've had with myself, which is, you know, I dove into anatomy thinking that once I dove into anatomy, I would be ready to go out there and create something. But what happened is I dove into the anatomy and that made the walls bigger. And you know, I saw everything that was really had to be done, and then I saw the people that actually really did it well, and I was like, you know, and so I thought I would be able to achieve, but all I did is I raised my expectations.
I see what you're saying.
You know,
Yeah.
and that just like that you know put some serious walls up. But what I notice about people like yourself and some of the other sculptors like Steve Lord that you know are really going out there and creating on a daily basis is you don't have those walls, or if you have those walls, it's like you're jumping those walls all the time. You're still creating. You don't worry about what you don't have. You just go.
Yeah, actually, I was gonna say that. It's not really. There's no secret. It's just like you just go, and it's not just. In a sense, it's not just about creating art and
Mm-hmm.
just going and jumping these walls. It's like you also have other things that are other issues that you have to worry about. Like for example, in my case, I have 4 kids. I have a wife. I have a mortgage, as you know, and I have to make the best of it. I can't afford to just stay stagnant and not do anything, not practice, not like, I mean, I have to be honest, I haven't drawn in a long time, but I'm always sculpting every single day. And I believe when I actually pick up a piece of paper, my drawing is a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I can tell, like, oh, okay, so I'm getting better. That means that, you know, I'm doing something right. But yeah, sometimes you just can't afford to stop for many reasons aside from just doing what you love. But I think that's a good thing. I think it's a great thing. It pushes you to push your boundaries, and you know sometimes you do it right. Sometimes you learn and you go like, okay, next time the project that I make or the next magneto I make, it'll be a lot better. I can see the issues with the one I just did like 6 months ago,
Yep.
and I'll try to do something better next time around. But
Yeah, I'd love to dive into that a little more if I can, because like that, I see it in students. They have the luxury of stopping to learn. And then you get into the library and you're in library mode, and you know, librarians don't go out there and fight the daily battles, right? So, but when you're out there in the arena and you have to fight, you know, what the strategies that survive are the strategies that win. So,
uh,
what strategies, like how do you get into that mindset where you just keep going and you don't stop because you're learning but you're also still going? So you know, what kind of strategies, what kind of mental, like how do you play that game? Any
Yeah,
thoughts?
that's actually a great question, man. No one's ever asked me that. That's actually a great question. This is just me personally. I'm a geek at heart. So one thing that I do is that if I'm actually, for example, I wake up in the morning, like 6 in the morning, I, start getting the kids ready for school, take them to school, come back, have a really quick breakfast. I go to the gym because now I'm working out because I stopped doing that. And I recommend that you never stop working out because that could also, believe it or not, that influences your state of mind.
Totally,
When
man.
you're
Yeah.
fatigued and tired, that affects your art, that affects your development. And I've learned that it's important for me to do it. I mean, I don't live there, but at the gym, but I go 3 times a week. I think that's cool. I rest in between, days, and I'm eating better, a lot healthier, and I feel a lot better. So when I'm when I come in here like at 10 in the morning and I'm ready to start sculpting, I try to pick up a comic book or whatever it is that I'm going to be doing. If I'm going to be sculpting werewolf, I'll probably watch like, I'll start watching like, werewolf movie or anything that's related to the subject that I'm sculpting. I listen to a lot of soundtracks, believe it or not, really epic soundtracks, just to, like, get me pumped up. And that helps a lot. And then mentally, I always try to visualize what the character or the piece will look like completely done. I try to visualize what people will think of it when they see it. And I don't just think of something like peachy and nice and perfect. I think of scenarios that could be negative, like, oh well, what about the fur, Eric? I'm looking at your piece that you did, and the fur doesn't look so clean. So I try to make sure that I cover all bases as much as possible. Take some notes, and as I start developing or sculpting the piece, I can start from a Dynamesh ball or like a base mesh or whatever. I make sure that what I saw in my mind, I try to go over those notes just to make sure that I'm covering all bases. And just going through the motions like that, it actually gets me pumped up. I believe that your mind, the state of your mind controls how you feel. And basically you have your own little thermostat, and you can control how you feel. A lot of people say like, no, I'm depressed, I really can't control that. I believe personally, this is just for me, like, this is just, you can control whatever you think you can achieve. So if I feel sad and I keep attracting or thinking of these negative thoughts, it's going to get me in a bad mood, and it's not going to help me get the project done. But if I start thinking like, if I don't feel well and I'm having like bad thoughts or whatever this morning, I start thinking of positive things. I pop in a movie that's positive or whatever, upbeat music, whatever. It starts changing my whole environment from the inside, and then that makes me want to give it my best. But if I don't do that, then it's like that movie in my head starts controlling everything, and I'm not gonna let that happen, because if I do, that's gonna create issues with the project, and eventually I might end up living under a bridge. So I don't want to do that. So, as much as possible, you know what I'm saying? So
Totally. Have you ever come close and then that just jumped you into action, so what the results are?
Yeah. It's I do it all the time. I do it every day. Sometimes I struggle, to be honest. It's I've come to a point where, well, I've come to points in my career where honestly I just don't even want to come into the studio. Like, it's happened. Like, I'm just so burnt out. And and that's one of the main reasons why I quit freelancing systematically. I just, honestly, I was just tired of doing what someone else wanted me to do, when I knew that I could probably create my own vision of this or that. And in the beginning, for like the best, like I would say like the first maybe 10 years of my career, honestly, I was just like I was content with sculpting anything. It was just like, if it was like a hand or a boot or rock or whatever, it didn't matter to me. I was just like so happy doing that. And it's really weird. Like, I started going through this transition where I started feeling like, oh, well, this is cool, but wouldn't it be cooler if I was doing this, or if I sculpted this Godzilla this way? Like, if I elongated the snout a little bit more, or if I made him creepier this way, or, and I started thinking like, okay, I have to like create my own, I don't know, like platform where I can actually give people what I like. And if people like it and they buy it, all the better. And that's what I did with prototypes. That's how I started doing that. And to be honest, it's something that works. Like, if you control your thoughts, you can control anything. It's like sculpting, man. It's the same process, I believe. Like, you control your thoughts, you control your actions, you control situations. If you can control that, you can control your destiny, basically. And I believe that it is possible. It's just a matter of being aware of your thoughts. Sometimes, like, it happens to you and I, man. We're tired. We wake up, we take a shower, we're eating, like having breakfast, and we're reading the cereal box. We're reading the ingredients, and that's all we're doing. We're not doing anything else. But what if we control our thoughts, and just like when we're focused, like sculpting or doing whatever, being creative, what if we were creative about our thoughts and start like, you know, reinforcing that image in your mind with positive thoughts, and then the movie that plays in your mind becomes positive, and then you go like, whoa, I can do anything, I can achieve this, I can do this, and then you start getting ideas about, oh, you know what, I could open a studio doing this, or I could create this, the next best toy line or something, or action figure line or whatever. And then you see that as you start working on that to achieve these things, doors open. I've seen it with you, man. I was there with you when you started doing all these things, like teaching the classes, and
Yeah.
you were my teacher, and I will be forever thankful for teaching me that ZBrush class that you did. And I saw how you were struggling and trying to get people in, and letting people know that, you know, this is the next best thing, and you need to learn this software. And at first I was adamant. I was like, no, I don't really think I need to learn this. I already put in so many years, like learning how to work in wax and clay. But you made a believer out of me, and I'm pretty sure had you not been so focused and so gung-ho about doing this, a lot of us probably wouldn't be doing what we're doing. And that's basically evidence that doing things that way can change not just your life, but a lot of people's lives. So,
Man, that's awesome. Thanks.
yeah, man.
So what I heard there was that the key component was the prep for getting into the studio.
Yep.
So, you know, do your exercise, eat, get yourself moving there, and then to kind of modulate the time in studio if you're not getting into it and whatnot, you know, just have external elements like put some music on.
Yep. Read some comics.
Yeah.
Go to the comic book shop and shop for something that, for a comic, or it doesn't necessarily have to do anything with the subject that you're trying to sculpt, but maybe you'll find a comic book that has like certain, you know, line art that looks amazing that you can implement into your work, and that's what I do. And I'm always looking for these tidbits of information coming from different people's like art or interpretation of the character that I'm working on, or something similar, and that actually enriches my own art. I think that's it's impossible for you to just say, because I've heard people say like, oh, well, you know, I just want to create something that's so original that, you know, no one's ever done it before. There's this video on YouTube that I recommend people watch. It's called Everything's a Remix, and I think it's true. You can just grab, like, you know, elements from this and this and this different type of art, and then mix it, blend it, and then basically give it your own touch, and it becomes magically a new thing. And that's what I try to do, man. I mean, I'm not doing anything, you know, out of the ordinary. I just basically try to mix elements and things that I like. It's like when you're at the, I don't know, when you're at the, what's it called, the Pizza Reb. There's this place out here in California, and you want to make your own pizza, and you have all these elements, right? All these ingredients, and you just go, okay, I want a little bit of this and this and this and this, and then you come up with your own pizza. And that's basically what I think I'm doing with my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it works. Some people seem to like it. Some people don't, but, you know, for the most part, it's gone well for me. So,
how important is it, in your opinion, that people be inspired, like on a daily basis?
Yeah, I think that's the cool thing about being an artist, is that we have this internal flame, you know, and you have to be careful for it not to go out. And the way you feed it, the way you keep it alive, is by looking and admiring other people's work, I think, and just everything around you, you know. And I've heard some artists say like, oh yeah, no, I just don't look at other people's work. I just, you know, focus on my own stuff. And usually those are the people that I see that don't really grow. Like I said, I think it's very important for you to, you know, remain aware that you know, you need to feed that flame, and it could be through a movie. Sometimes, Ryan, I just get to a point where I hit a wall, and I think it happens to a lot of us, where I just go like, oh man, I can't. I have sculptor's block. I just can't sculpt a finger, man. And I know in my mind I can, but I'm just like, okay, maybe this is my brain or my heart or whatever you want to call it, telling me that I need to take a break. And honestly, what I do is that I've learned now that what I have to do is just like, you know, maybe go to the movie theater. Sorry, go to the movie theater and get inspired by, say, I don't know, Pacific Rim or whatever sci-fi movie that's playing. When I come back, man, I realize that that flame has been fed. It's burning inside of me, and all I want to do is like get back to my desk and start sculpting and finessing and adding all these little details that maybe I might have captured either, you know, by just like really paying a lot of attention to the movie, or just like letting myself go and just trying to bask in the whole amazing, I don't know, group of elements that the movie's like throwing at me, you know. Whether you're doing that consciously or not, it is there. You're feeding that flame, and then when you come back and you bestow that into your work, you imbue your work with that kind of inspiration, you'll see it works. You just feel happy to just be doing what you're doing. But sometimes you just need a push, and like I said, I explore every single tool that I have, and that could be just like comics or a book or audiobooks, which I listen to those much more than actually reading. Sometimes I just go to ArtStation and I spend hours just looking at the work of these magnificent artists out there, and that inspires me so much, man. Seriously, it's whenever I feel like blue or stuck or something, I just look at the work of others, and that kind of like brings me back, you know, from the abyss.
Yeah. Do you think there's ever a time where, you know, or a benefit to just pushing through, you know, when you're lost, or, you know, you get that sculptor's block, or is it something you have to recharge?
Yeah, you know, one thing that I've noticed, and this is personal.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just feel sad, you know, like seriously, I feel like something's missing, and
Yeah.
I'm like, why do I feel this way? I just went out with my wife, we went to the movies, it was cool, or we, you know, I don't know, we went out to dinner, or whatever, and everything's cool. But then I realized that I have probably been neglecting that one piece that I started like maybe 2 months ago. And when I get back to it and start working on it, I might not really be as inspired. And when I push through, then I've actually discovered that, oh wow, this could be a great piece. For example, a few months back, well, basically last year, I was here in the studio, and I was really tired, and I had, you know, because I had basically announced that I was not going to do freelance. So as soon as I did that, a lot of companies started saying, okay, can you do this and this and this and this before you, and it was, oh, it got crazy, man. And it was cool, and I'm grateful for the work. So anyway, so but at the end of the day, like I was like so burnt out, you know, but I still felt like this emptiness, and I feel like, I don't know why I feel like there's something else I need to do, and I'm like, but I'm done. I've been working on this thing for like all day. And then I just grabbed a Dynamesh ball and started sculpting, just without thinking. And I ended up sculpting these things called kaijuvis. I came up with that stuff. My friend actually came up with the name, my friend William. And basically, they look really cute. They're like, you know, I did this like King Kong like baby. They look like little balls of like fur or something, and they're cute. And I actually had a couple of companies like interested in buying them, you know, the whole line. So I'm actually about to produce these myself. So
And it's kaijutis?
Yes, kaijuvis. Yeah, kaijuvis. Yeah.
Nice.
You go to monsterandthemachine.com.
Yeah.
Monsterandthemachine.com. It's just a basic page, and you can see them. But seriously, man, I get a bunch of emails from people saying like, I want to buy them, I want to buy them, and I still have not started producing them, you know. But because I've been wrapping up a lot of other stuff, but I hope these things, like, you know, can eventually sell at Walmart or Target or whatever. And I've been getting quotes from the factories in China and everything. And to be honest, like it's feasible, it's possible. But that never would have happened had I not stayed that night. I know for a fact that had I not stayed and pushed through, I never would have seen the birth of these little guys. Even if nothing happens, even if nothing comes out of these, I know for a fact that people like them a lot. And that in itself is just makes me happy, knowing that there's a few people that owe some copies, because I made some resin copies and we sold out at the SignerCon last year.
Where do people see those again?
And it sold out. Huh?
Where do people see those?
At the SignerCon.
Oh yeah, but you said there was a website?
Oh yeah, it's monsterandthemachine.com.
Oh wow,
yeah.
Nobody's got that URL?
No. I think actually I don't know. That name came about when I was watching this anime called Ghost in the Shell, and I was like, Ghost in the Shell. What about Monster in the Machine? Anyway, so
I see
um,
them. They're
that's
awesome.
like, yeah, there was like a band
Yeah,
named that anyway, but they're not around anymore. But yeah, and they're just cute, and they have big old black eyes and everything, and people love them, man. And my kids like them a lot when they saw them. Like, oh, these are cute. Can we get a copy? And so I made a bunch of copies for them. They started painting them in different colors and everything. And but yeah, again, man, if I had not pushed through when I was at my limit, I never would have come up with these things. I know for a fact because the idea came to me as I was just, I just grabbed a Dyna mesh ball and started. I inserted a couple of big old eyes like spheres,
hmm
and then I started adding the eyelids, and that's when I knew like, oh, I could turn this into like a baby Godzilla kind of thing, and then like into and then that's it. The first one took like 3 hours, and then the rest took like an hour and a half each, and that's it. I printed them in my Form 2. Had my friend George cast all of them, and I started selling them. Like they're the size of like golf balls,
hmm
and then I made versions that are the size of a softball, like a lot bigger. And
That's
yeah, man, they sold out. People keep emailing me and asking me, and I feel bad because I have not been able to like answer all those emails. It's
yeah,
it's a thing.
that's
So I
awesome.
don't know. I might be sitting on a gold mine, and I have no idea.
All right, a couple of questions for you. So Andrew's asking, do you still work in clay and wax?
Actually, I am right now. I'm working on. I mean, I have not done that in like maybe in over a year.
hmm
I go to Japan like every year for this thing called Winter Wonder Festival.
hmm
It's a place where all the sculptors in Japan gather, and they sculpt their own original IP creations, and they sell them as kits. And basically, I I I did this bust, and that was the last piece I sculpted like a year ago in clay and wax. But right now I'm sculpting Gamera from licensed Gamera kaiju. It's a turtle. It kind of looks like Godzilla.
hmm
And that thing is huge. It's the size of I don't know what scale that is because it's a kaiju. So I don't know. It's like 18 inches tall, and I'm sculpting that like by hand completely in Super Sculpey.
Oh, nice.
So that's gonna be a lot of fun because I'm just working on the armature right now and setting everything up, and then I'm gonna start covering everything in Super Sculpey. That's gonna be fun. I'm gonna be showing that on my Facebook wall.
hmm
Yeah, people can see like the videos and pictures and everything because I know a lot of people are always asking like, oh, can you sculpt something in clay and show us the steps? So I'm gonna be doing that. So
Oh,
yeah,
nice. That's awesome.
yeah, but
Uh,
I don't get to do that much to be honest. I just don't anymore. You know.
yeah, ZBrush is kind of too essential at this point.
Yeah, it's super essential. I believe that if it wasn't because of ZBrush, like seriously, I literally would be living under a bridge. So just so you get an idea, before, I mean, I'm not blowing my own horn, but I'm a pretty quick traditional sculptor, and I used to do maybe like 25 projects in a year, maybe 20 sometimes, but I'm talking like bigger stuff, not tiny things. And also counting like, accessories and things like that. But now with the software, I can actually, I mean, I've sculpted, I think 2 years ago, I counted like 75 projects.
Mhm. Wow.
So yeah, you can do a lot more. Like one person becomes like an army of like maybe like 3 guys.
Yeah, that's great. I love how all of your problems always end up under a bridge too. So we always know where to find Eric if the problems get too big. We just got to find the right bridge. But LA's got a lot of them. So,
Yeah, that's true. That's
all
true.
right, George is asking. It's a bit of a business question. He's asking how much of your sculpting choices are influenced by what you personally like to do versus finding the popular demand, so to speak.
Well, one thing that I do, to be honest, is that I'm very active on social media and like forums and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
and I tend to listen to what people want because obviously ultimately what I do is actually a business, and you have to give people what they want, and you know, I kind of like basically conform, or within those parameters of what people like, I just do what I want as well, you know. But that's basically what I do. I just listen to feedback, and obviously you can't listen to everybody, because you know, some people will say like, oh, that Magneto, for example, like, oh, why are you making him floating? You know, while like maybe like 80% of the people want him like floating. So I tend to listen to the majority of the people. So, you know, but there's been occasions where like a guy will say like, oh, that Wolverine, you should probably add like maple leaf, you know, because you know he comes from Canada, and that will make the statue look better. And I've done that, and then you know I just don't post it or anything, don't post pictures, and then when they actually open the box, they see that, they go, oh wow, this guy listens. So that I think that in itself actually people appreciate that a lot. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
just being able to connect with your audience in that sense, that's pretty cool.
All right, man. Well, I've had an awesome time chatting with you, and thank you so much for kind of diving into process, because that's what, you know, I really enjoy, just your thoughts on the philosophy of this. So I'm glad we got to dive into it.
Thank you, Ryan. Again, I'm not saying this because I'm talking to you, but I am so thankful for everything that you've shared with me, and throughout the years, sometimes you'll send me videos and everything, and I thank you for that. And I know that you're always like, your main concern is to actually spread the knowledge of these things, and a lot of us are super grateful for everything that you do, man. Thank you.
I appreciate. Yeah, thanks. And maybe we can get you with your own academy going. That would be awesome.
Actually, Ryan, and you know, I'm serious. Yeah, whenever you have time, let me know, and we can talk. I really want to do it. I think the one thing, like I said, that really makes me happy now is like being able to share these things with people. I mean, as you know, 3D doesn't have just a few applications. I mean, you can actually create stuff that could save lives. Like, for example, you can actually probably sculpt, you know, like synthetic ears and things like that.
Totally.
And if somehow I can help someone understand that, and make the world a better place in that sense, that would be so cool, man. Yeah, if I can help in any way, inspire someone. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you. Thanks, guys, for showing up, for being here. And all right, Eric, man, have an awesome day.
All right, man. Just remember, you still owe me that chicken tikka masala recipe, okay?
Will do. All right, ciao.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.
You
Bye.
too, bye.